Hey everybody, it's Michael here again with a new live stream for 2024. So, hello, Happy New Year, and hope you guys are doing well. Right, 2024 has started off quite differently to how everybody kind of predicted it would start off, and I I only just heard whoops, I just kind of heard of the news of what has recently been happening whilst I was away in Spain for a week, and so I had a wee bit of a think about it all, and I thought to myself, like, well, maybe I should probably have a wee talk, do like a little podcast type thing, something similar to how Christine Green does his Gaze the Issue series. So yeah, as the title of this live stream says here, our model railway is dying out, and this is mainly down to the fact that some people are kind of worried that the hobby is no longer being looked at for the next generation, because it's kind of a bit of a worry because the fact that we have Hatton's model shop. It's been going on for like 77 years now, and now they've announced that they're going to close down the shop. It's been a great source of items relating to model railways. Now, they're my model club. We've ordered loads of stuff from their place because we found their services really good, and some of the bargains you get from it, like one of the ones that still sticks in my mind as being a really good bargain is getting a whole whack of point motors for like probably maybe under 50 quid or so. You get about 10 point motors for under 50 quid. That's great. That's actually really good. And and also, like, services of getting like tracking out there. I've been doing like when we were like planning on doing model railway layouts at our club there, we sometimes see like, how much track do we need to get brand new. We do like a tally to see who would be the best affordable to get from, and we always find that Hatton's was always the best place to go to because they do some really good stuff. So hearing that they're closing down is quite a bit of a shame, and then to make things even more difficult for everybody, Wally, the famous model railway show Wally, is now going to stop doing their shows now because of I think from what I gathered here was like down to lack of volunteers, or some volunteers what um are going to step down from it all. And I must admit, I've never been to Wally, but some of my friends have been to there, and they've always said to me it's a great place. It's always a great show to go to, and I really do wish I have been to one of those shows. The one chance I actually will say this here, there was one chance I was invited to go to Wally, and not with my later Farquhar, but with the real Farquhar branch when Farquhar branch was being exhibited at Wally with the Telekin Railway. I was invited to be brought along to help run the layout, but unfortunately, I couldn't attend that weekend because, well, this it's very personal, but just to sum up very briefly, it was the weekend took place on the anniversary of my grandmother's passing. She had passed away like 1 year prior, and so that was like her year anniversary. So myself and the family were very very emotional about the whole issue and other. So that's why I said to the guys, look, I'm sorry, I can't attend this because of this personal family thing. And they're like, yeah, that's absolutely fine. That's absolutely fine. But then having seen the pictures and videos of that, I'm starting to think to myself, I really do wish now I did go there. Maybe next time, if Farquhar's going to Wally again next time, I'll definitely put my name down for it here because I don't want to miss this chance. And now it's not happening anymore. So that's a real shame. And then I'm seeing I recently was looking through some of my feeds on my social media, and I think it was the Birmingham Model Railway Club were ceasing their exhibitions as well. So I'm now starting to actually worry now is actually what is going to happen with this hobby with today's generation, because if you look at today's generation now, everybody's all digital. It's all everybody's has their iPhones, iPads. It's all with apps and streams that there's very little stuff you see nowadays. In fact, one thing I do, I often feel a wee bit sad about is that every time I go into like a toy shop out there, when I need to buy like stuff like props and stuff out there, like I sometimes go and get like Playmobil stuff because I quite like Playmobil. And it's a good scale size for G scale and that sort of stuff. But I sometimes take a wander around to see like okay, let's see what train sets have they got here. And I'm very surprised that today there's very little train sets in toy shops. I mean, yeah, you do sometimes get like Oh, what's it called? Is it Little Toots or something? It's one of those like I think Early Learning Center did them, but you get these train sets and they're quite nice there. But even down to the Thomas sets as well, there's very little. There's very little in that category. I'm seeing very little Thomas stuff nowadays in toy shops, which is quite shocking. But it's all down to like today's modernization of apps and streams and all there. You know, kids can be you don't have to buy physical stuff now. You can just basically download a 3D version of it there and just, have it all in your own little virtual world. It's like with Train Simulator. Like, some of the guys, they make up the trains models out there instead of building a model where that's perfectly fine. I have nothing against those guys because even I sometimes dabble about with Train Simulator when it comes to planning layouts or various storyboarding shots and that there. Because like even when I'm doing branch line engines, I was actually using Train Simulator for a storyboard method because I wanted to make everything all done, wanted it for me done physically, but um, to try and save time of me drawing storyboards, I actually just made a mock up of the whole scenario on trains and just did a storyboard sequence from there. But even so, there's like very little physical model railway stuff or train set stuff in today's market, and the price, even when you see like new stuff like from Hornby, um, well, I must grant you here, there actually is some people have their ups and downs with Hornby these days. Here, I'm kind of the same. I'm just kind of saying like, okay, let's just see what they have. If there's anything they think they have that I think I might be interested in, okay, I might get it. But if it's anything I'm not really interested in, I'm thinking like, oh, that's just kind of rinse and repeat of the same thing they did last year. Then just let it be and just be done with it. But like this year, I mean, it kind of happened again here when Hornby released their new range. There were two things that kind of struck my mind here, and the first one here, one of the ones I did, I'll talk about the positive ones. The positive one that struck my mind with Hornby's new range, and I felt really excited about it because I actually did want to see about maybe getting this to maybe do a video comparison, is the new Triang train set thing that they launched out, which is the I think it's R2X. I think it is. It's basically the Ginty with the two LMS coaches here. Basically, I remember when I first looked up Triang back when I was like in my pre-teens out there, and I was looking at the Triang website. Like it's like a dedication website out there, but they have this wee sections like all dedicated to all the train sets, and the Ginty set for the early Ginty set with the two coaches, that was my favorite out of the lot because I just thought it looked really good. And now Hornby's making a new version of that there. I thought, great, okay, I would like to get that. That's a good set for me to try and get. And the other reason is because I do have an original train set of that particular set here, which I'm currently trying to restore. Just need to try and get some new track pieces and that for it here, but that's for a side project for another time. But yeah, just maybe for a video, not the comparison later. But anyway, yeah, that's just like one of those things. Like it's like one of those things like a basic standard train set there for to get, and then onto the downside things was the Trying Nellies. The Trying Nellies 040s like Connie and Polly. I was very disappointed in that there. I did end up sending Hornby an email saying, look, I think maybe it's probably wise you guys actually rethought this again because this is not a good move for you guys. It's a bit of a bold move. You kind of expected to have this model, but you went for this route instead, and it's not. It's not the best choice in my honest opinion here. And Hornby did respond back to me by saying, "Okay, we'll let the guys know about this here," which is always what they always respond. But anyway, I digress. But yeah, even with like today's marketing there with model trains, it's becoming quite a bit expensive now. Like I think that's one of the main reasons why the next generation is not taking an interest in model railways. It's because of the price of model railways. I mean, model railways is an expensive hobby. I must admit here because with today's technology, I mean, you're getting like all these very very fine detail stuff. I mean, technology has enhanced greatly these last number of years compared to the stuff that I grew up with. Because I grew up at the times when you could afford a Hornby engine. Like I remember the days when let's say a standard Hornby 040 that back in my day when I was a kid, that would literally cost you like maybe under £20, like maybe £15. That's how much it used to cost back when I was a kid. And even an 040 like Thomas would cost you like £24. what's it? What cost is it today? It's like nearly 60 quid, 60 or 70 quid for an 060, a standard 060 chassis tank engine. It's shocking, like with today's marketing, and even with the cost of living these days, how can you afford living in today's economy with the with everything all being very expensive. And so I think that's just another reason why, like, how things aren't turning as what you hope they'd be. But yeah, coming back to the main subject here about the young generation, why it's not taking interest in the hobby anymore. I think I might have to maybe recall back to a documentary that the BBC did back in 2012, I think it is. It could be. I think it's still available on iPlayer because they always show it every year at Christmas time. It's from the series Time Shifts, and it's called The Joy of Train Sets. And I think you can find a copy of it on YouTube. If you look carefully, you might be able to find a copy of it there. But there's a section out there where they talk about like how do children get involved in liking the hobby, and I think it's just mainly down to, like, how did your grandparents or how did your parents get involved in the hobby, like if they had an interest in railways. It's mainly because that they were about during the time when that era was still around, and that was its big thing. um Steam trains were basically like the speed races and racing cars like today. You see kids are wanting to see about see what the latest new hot rods are, or let's maybe I might compare it to something different here. Like what my nephew is currently taking a huge interest in. He's now hugely into Pokemon. He loves Pokemon, and he's now at the stage where he's collecting all the cards. So so let's say railway steam trains and model and railways back in those days here, they were like the Pokemon cards for my nephew back then. So kids would be like, trying to collect all the numbers of the engines there. They would buy copies of the Ian Allen railway guides or railway locos listed there, and they would go around and they'd cross off, try and see if they can hunt these engines around certain yards. It's like Pokemon Go. Yeah, Pokemon Go. If you try and find all these Pokemon around different areas of the country, it's like that. And it's just like, see, can you get all the engines? And if you spot all the engines, and you cross off the numbers, if you complete the whole list of that, you pretty much won the game, I suppose. I think that's kind of what it was back then. Well, that's why I would like it to be known. Like, train spotting back then was a game for kids to try and hunt down these steam trains. Um, yes, there would be some times where they maybe take chances to their own hands, which result in them maybe trespassing on railway property. There's some photographs I've actually seen online that some of the photographs were noted saying that this photograph was taken by a train spotter who was illegally trespassing on the grounds. Um, but yeah, but aside from that though, um, that's what kind of thing, like, how could that be a huge influence to today's generation? And like that documentary and that time shift showed that they actually said that the whole things uh were becoming the big trend for kids out there, like part of their school games. In fact, every kid wanted to grow up to be a train driver back then. Even I was a kid. Even when I was a kid, I always said, I would like to be a train driver when I grow up because it's great fun. And I remember one time in school, my teacher was saying to us all, like, right, okay, what job skills would you need to have in order to achieve your goals? I remember I jokingly put in one of my list here, train drivers, and she openly admitted, saying, like, right, Michael, being a train driver, it's all thing. And I remember everybody in the whole classroom just turned and went, really? You're being what you want to be one of those? It's like that sort of thing. Everybody just wanted to be like either a banker or a wrestler or that sort of stuff here, or stuff like that. In fact, I remember one student in my class wanted to. No, in fact, no, she wasn't. She wasn't in my class. She was in somebody else's class. But I remember she was having a huge argument with the teacher about how she wanted to be a member of the Playboy Mansion. But that's a different matter. That's a different matter to my case. But anyway, but yeah, she said the teacher says, like, if you need to have, in order to achieve this goal, you need to have certain job skills, knowing, like, lines, what routes and all have to go to. You need to learn mechanics courses not there, which I fully understood. I knew that was all the whole case of there. But but then there's also like as time went on, my moods then started to change. I now pursue of being like a worker in children's TV, which is great. But I still have sometimes that interest in being a train driver, and that's when I started to join up like with my mates railway club. So that's why I do get the chance to drive trains, which is now another thing here, which I probably might have to jump off to. I know I should have gone back to the topic of train spotting and stuff like there, but maybe that might be a good way for we can probably step from that into this next stages, and that is like how to get the next generation to get interested in the hobby. Now, in the documentary, that Tension says here, they said in the 1980s that train sets were starting, model railways and interest in railways was dying out, and even today, as times went on, the steam train was literally dying out. Now, during the '60s, like probably in the late '60s and '70s, steam trains were very rarely seen. You could only see them now on heritage railways, which were slowly starting to form. But at that stage here, they were still like working their way up. And places like the Bluebell Railway, the Talyllane Railway were also very popular at their time. But then there was also areas that, even though they weren't making their mark on the map, they were still slowly starting off, even if it was just like a small stretch of track. I'm trying to remember, there was another documentary series that the BBC did where they look at archive footage of railway enthusiasts who helped start off. Uh, Sorry, I'm just looking at the live feed here. Sorry, I'm just seeing what this is. Wait, Hmm. Well, yeah. Anyway, what I was saying here is about there was another documentary series that BBC did where they looked at archive footage of railway enthusiasts who helped try and form heritage railways, and they were showing these clips to members of their family to see how can that influence them on um, and how much of an impact the interest in railways were to them, and how it may have passed on to the next generation. But in terms of like joining up clubs and stuff like that, like I say, like joining up with a group and idea to help encourage the enthusiasm of the interest in railways can also be a way that this can help interest. I know I keep saying the young generation here, but it's just basically the best way I can probably say it. Instead of saying young people, but young generation doesn't always have to apply to children. It could always apply to young adults um, and so forth. Anyway, but yeah, joining up with clubs and that there, it's a good way to interact with people. Members of the older generation can teach the youngins how things will work and how certain machines and how certain mechanical engineering stuff was done in the olden days, and maybe sometimes the young generation could probably maybe find a way of maybe enhancing today's the mechanics and things just to make things a bit more easier uh for these volunteers. Which I've seen like at my Minutes Railway Club here, there actually were some projects that did come about. In fact, as far as I know, last year a brand new steam engine was made at Drummoy Junction, which has been a project now for I think the guy said it was probably maybe I don't know 30 20 or 30 years or something. I can't remember. Need to look back at the notes again here, but it was a very nice engine at the end of it. At the end of the day, and he says that there was more half-built engines waiting to be completed, and members of younger members of our club have actually stepped forward and says, I would like to pursue on completing this engine. And so we have our workshops there, and we have members of the crew who are able to teach them how to do that sort of stuff. And again, that's just another way of getting them into the interest of the hobby. But that's for military railways here. What about model railways? We're coming back to model railways again here. So model railway clubs, I don't know what way things are going to play out for the rest of this year, because I actually am worried. Will there be more model railway clubs forming? Um, because even with my club here, we're very short on members at the moment here. I mean, yeah, we on our Facebook group page out there, we do have like people sign on, like to support us, like just to say, hey, we would like to be virtual members here. If we would like to see how you guys are getting on. But like even coming down to the club here, we try and advertise the club as best as we possibly can, and very few people actually are very aware as to where we are and who would share an interest in our hobby. Most of the times where people will respond to our adverts is mostly down to saying, "Oh, this is probably a place where we can dump Granddad's old train stuff here and be done with it." So, I mean, yeah, we're grateful for that there, but it's not in a way of encouraging young generations to come down and to help out. So what we're planning to do now is trying to we're going to build a layout. We're going to build a wee small portable layout that we're going to take around to various charity events, and that probably would be a good way to help promote the club and give children a chance to drive trains and to see like what it's like. And we could say whilst they're driving, we could just say if your kids are taking a great interest in this here, why not take them down to the club here, and we can actually show you guys how to make one of these for yourself that your kid can build at home and expand it over and over time. And even at we're coming to the stage of the cost out there, we can find ways of there's loads of ways like you can make model railways an inexpensive hobby. I mean, if you look at there's various YouTube channels out there, like one very popular one here, which has gone through the whole topic of how to build a model railway on the affordable side, which is Budget Model Railways. Check out them here and give them a like and subscribe because they do some really good facts and details of how to build a model railway on the cheap side, and you can still get some really good results in the end. But another thing is that you see some tutorials that model railway magazines as well. Like I don't often see them now in the shops these days. Yeah, I mostly see them I sometimes see them in Tesco's, and I get a copy when I can. But when you're looking through the model railway magazines nowadays, they always have just the rinse and repeat of the same thing over and over again when it comes to showing you how to build certain things. And there's never any methods like say they're always suggesting, oh, you need to buy these brand new like laser cut stuff, or there's this brand new kit that you can buy, or a kit that's no longer made anymore. This is what we use to make this thing to make it look right. There could be other ways. You could probably look at how to do stuff a bit more on the affordable side. Like during my holiday, I was reading some old model railway books that had detailed info as to how you can actually make really, really good and really good convincing scenery stuff on the cheap side using nothing more than wire, paper, and glue. And that's pretty much it. Like that's it's like it's just very basic, very simple stuff that you just buy. You can just buy in a small craft shop in the newsagents. So so you don't. So it's not necessarily like me complaining about the cost of model railways not there, but it's just you know nothing. There's nothing that would stop everybody from taking an interest in the hobby. But I think another issue I think as well that some people maybe be steering away from the hobby is that I think maybe it's down to where you can build your layout, because sometimes people have different we all live in different houses and different states out there, so some people have maybe live in a wee terraced house, and sometimes it can be maybe reduced to what kind of scale they can work in. And I think in today's architectural structures out there, everything's now looking very it's all looking more futuristic here, and there's some buildings there where you think, right, it's very nice here, but where is a good spot to put the model railway? And you probably have your house designer just looking at you, just going, "What? You taking interest in that sort of stuff? Okay, well, I'm sure there's a old shed or something that we can probably uh, install for you here, but it might look a bit of an eyesore. Maybe if we put like a nice hedge or something to hide it, that will kind of hide you away." But I don't know. I don't know. I'm kind of losing track here. Where was I? Where was I getting up to now? Yeah. So model railway is dying out. Okay. Probably might maybe wrap this up, I suppose, here, because I think I'm kind of running out of topics to talk about. But but yeah, to kind of sum it up now here, I really do hope that model railways don't die out, because it's very rare now. Like I said, the interest in trains and railways out there is becoming a bit more hard now to see. And even with the likes of Thomas now has now changed greatly. with this new form of its new form of presentation. And even in the Tiny Shifts documentary, they actually did state that Thomas was what got children back into model railways because they were using models to make the TV series. And that's kind of, I have to admit here, that's kind of how I got into the hobby as well, because I knew rightly from the very start that Thomas was a train set. It was a train set. And in fact, that's, as far as I know, even I'd say that's what the guys who make the show called it. It was just like one big giant train set. They could just go into work and play trains all day. That's like every boy's dream. And and then even as time went on, like they reverted to CGI. Even when I was working on the show as a writer, I still saw the series as a train set, because like the way they I think the way they did the CGI now, it became more. The CGI started to get a bit more good as time went on, and I was kind of thinking like, they actually look more like physical models now. So even when I was writing the series like that, I kept picturing this giant train set here, and I'm just saying, right, okay, do all this here sort of stuff. And then when it all changed and went to All Engines Go, that the whole thing just changed completely, and even the toy brands as well. Like, I don't want to go into much detail there, but I don't like the new train sets. They're not. They just don't look right at all. But but yeah, I would like to try and encourage maybe the young generation just to maybe just see what's possible. To I mean, we don't have to. The main thing we also I just want people to be aware of at the end of this podcast is that don't force them to get into the hobby. Let them choose their own time to take an interest in it there. But maybe once in a while, if you want to take them to maybe experience what the interest is like, take them to take them to, if there's one still on, if they're still going on at all, take them to a model railway show and just let them see for themselves, like what this is like, or even if there's one open, take them to a model shop. That would be um something, just so that they can actually see, like, this is what these this is what these model layers can come in here, and this is how you can build them up. Or just even simply now, with everything now being live streaming out there, show them a video of a model railway and say, like, this is a different type of hobby. It's like it's like it's good fun. You can build it yourselves. Um, it's a good way to use your use your hands out there, be creative and out there. You don't have to constantly keep tapping and all that there sort of stuff. I mean, like, again, today's generation out there, they would probably want to do, like, the modern day stuff, and use apps and that there to control trains, which is a bit more. I would say it's more easier to do. It'd be less wiring to do, but it's not. I think in terms of, like, when they say that when they say that it's reducing wiring and make it all hands free out there. There is more. You still have to do a lot more wiring just to get certain features on, like sound modules or smoke generators out there. Like, all that wiring out there, you end up putting in um more wiring into the effort than what the company says that DCC would do. But anyway, I'm going off topic again. But but yeah, let the next generation choose what they want to do here. But if you have a train set of your own, or a model of your own, don't be shy to let them come in and have we look for themselves and see what it's all about. Because even with my nieces and nephew, they know rightly I have a passion for trains and out there. And even when they were like little toddlers, one of them still is. But when they see me with a train set out, or when I still have my garden railway out in the garden, and I'd be running the train out there, they would always come over and see the trains running, and they would always chase it around the circuit and try and catch it out there. That's just one of those things, like, that uh, I hope maybe at some point here I will try and um, resort to again here, because I would like to restart my garden railway again, because it's a real shame here that it's all packed up in that there, but I think I might have an idea as to how to resurrect it again. But that's for another time. That's for another time now. But yeah, guys, I hope this podcast was okay. Sorry if I kind of rambled off topic for a bit here, but yeah, I hope some of my points here came through and were of use, I suppose. Um, some of it might not be on point as to what I was trying to get across, but in a small space of time when you're trying to prep these live streams here, it's just like, yeah, you can only just think of what you can at the moment here. So anyway, yeah, thanks very much for tuning in, guys, and yeah, as I hope that this podcast will say, just don't let the hobby die out. Keep it alive as much as you possibly can. So, right, take care, guys. All the best.